I've done. Okay.
To make sure we are conscious of everyone's time. We realize it is 4 o'clock, and I appreciate everyone that has jumped on to watch the webinar today. And like I said, we are recording this and it is on Facebook Live. So encourage your parents and fellow leaders to view it there or go to the website and see it at a later date. So welcome everybody. My name is Suzanne Stone and I'm the Executive Director of the 4-H Council of Alberta. And I'm joined with Lexi Hoy, Regional Specialist for the Calgary region, and Shelly-Ann Dodson, who is the Regional Specialist of the Northeast region. So together we're going to tag team about 30-minute session here to talk about 4-H in Alberta, what Market Livestock Achievement Days will look like in the coming months, and open the floor for an opportunity for questions as well. So a little tip, if your internet is lagging a little bit, you can view online and then use the dial-in. And Lexi, I believe, will put the dial-in number in the chat, and you can dial in to hear the audio, and it will help your slow internet. If you do have a question, please use the question and answer button. You'll see it on a toolbar called Q&A. If you have a question there, we will take all the questions at the end. That's what my helper, Shelly-Ann and Lexi, are going to do, is compile the questions, and we'll do our best to answer them at the end. So I'm gonna just check my slide there. And hopefully it advances, not too fast. So we're going to cover a few topics today. An update from the COVID-19 Achievement Day events for 2020, club and committees, what their role is in the coming weeks, member safety and market sales, 4-H livestock policies, project show options, market sale options, and then that opportunity for questions as well. So I mentioned it a couple of times, but there's still some people joining the webinar, that it will be recorded and shared at a later date, as well as all the questions. So a quick update. On March 30th, there was an update email to all our 4-H families, leaders, members, anyone we have an email address for that said we can communicate that way. Notice about the decision that was made after careful consideration to extend the suspension of all 4-H sanctioned activities and events until Sunday, May 31st inclusive. That includes anything at club, district, region, and provincial levels as well. There are provincial programs that will be impacted due to the suspension, and this is the 4-H Alberta Selections Program, the Alberta Agriculture and Forestry Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and ambassador training. Highway cleanup, which is not a 4-H function or 4-H event, may go ahead May 2nd, but we are suspending 4-H clubs from participating in that at this time because it is an in-person activity. There are also a lot of district and region events that will be impacted, and those committees are working very hard to come up with an alternate plan and move forward with their activities and events. Also in that notice, there was some information about 4-H at home, and there is a new page on our website called At Home with 4-H, with new and exciting ideas for members to have an opportunity to explore 4-H at home, virtually, and eventually an opportunity for members to connect with one another. We're going to be posting updated FAQs on that site as well, or under the heading COVID-19 on the 4-H website. And there is also an opportunity to find out more information and Alberta Health Service updates on the website as well. So what does a successful Achievement Day look like in 2020? Well, a few things that we do know is every club will have a different look to their achievement day, no matter their project. We're focused on market projects today, but all of our projects across Alberta will also have a different look to their achievement event in 2020. We want to make sure that all the decisions that are being made are in the best interest of the members and keeping their well-being in mind. It definitely will be an opportunity to celebrate hosting a 4-H event through COVID-19 restrictions, where it's an opportunity to showcase members everything that they've learned and experienced through 4-H thus far in this 4-H year, and also continue to provide a safe, inclusive learning environment with caring adults. And all this can be accomplished by working together, and anything is possible. So we have to keep that in mind, and we're in this together, and we will continue moving forward to come up with a successful outcome. My slide advancing is just a little bit delayed, so apologize for that. Whoop, and then it went too fast. So like I said, in 2020, what we know is all traditional Achievement Day events will look different. That includes shows, that includes sales, and we're here today to help you with your planning as we move forward. We know that current person-to-person sanctioned activities or events will be suspended until May 21st or May 31st, 2020. We encourage the use of technology for virtual experiences. We would encourage clubs to continue to connect with their members the best to their ability, learn new things, learn new platforms that you can reach your members. We also want to support 4-H members and volunteers through this period. And don't forget about your parents and your volunteers as well, and involve them and engage them in activities virtually. We know that facilities that we traditionally use for achievement events also have restrictions because it's worldwide, and they're doing their very best to learn as we go as well. 2020 is definitely an opportunity to develop an alternate plan to what the club normally does. If there's that fun and exciting idea that you wanted to try but have run out of time or an opportunity to do so, 2020, that's your time to be creative and continue to provide members a challenge, as well as an opportunity to continue to learn to do by doing. We also know that many Achievement Days are an opportunity for community members to gather and support their youth of their community. It's a fun event. People look forward to it. And just keep in mind that these gatherings and celebrations can be scheduled at a later date, and people will be very well, receive those very well at a later date as well, because they will still come out to support the youth. So for clubs and committees, here's a few points for clubs and committees to keep in mind as we move forward. We encourage clubs and committees to work together to develop a plan to support 4-H member achievements. And members have been learning and achieving at various opportunities and through various experiences already that clubs have provided them within the club at a district or a region or a provincial level. So keep those things in mind. As you are looking at possible plan B, we encourage that you use reputable resources and continue learning that help members continue to learn as they're marketing their beef, sheep, goat, or swine projects. This is a fun three-word sentence: keep things legal. So remember, you are representing the 4-H brand, and we want to make sure that everyone's upholding the values through this challenging time. If there is members, we are aware that there are members that often receive financial support through loans or other means. So if you do have those members within your club, encourage them to connect with your with their financial institute where they have the loan with, as well as there may be some one-off situations that the club might be able to support, which isn't a normal thing that clubs normally do, but please look at those options. And if you do have any members that may need additional support, make sure that they're communicating with the general leader and handle those situations with care and compassion for sure. We also want you to encourage your clubs and your members to ensure that the animals are being well cared for, and they continue to be well cared for, even though the unknown of what a show and sale will look like. Make sure that the members are still making sure their animals' needs are being met. Like I mentioned, we encourage our leaders to handle things with compassion and understanding, because everybody experiences change a little bit different. So we want to make sure that all voices are being heard and they feel that they have a part to play in the changes coming up. And then the one, hopefully you can see it on the bottom, it says communicate with your regional specialist. If you haven't already, you probably will receive a call in the coming week from your regional specialist. They will be reviewing what your thoughts are for moving forward with your achievement days, your show and sale. And if you don't know, that's perfectly fine too. And they will be just connecting and finding out if you need support or have any questions. And also, we want to make sure that we keep the show and sale guide up to date as possible, because many groups, potential buyers, sponsors do use that information. So if you don't know, that's fine. But please, when you do have that plan, share that with your regional specialist so we can update that information. So member safety, it's always a #1 priority when we are doing 4-H activities and events. So here are just a few reminders as you are planning to keep member safety as a top priority. So no person-to-person contact. This means that there's no on-farm visits for judging, or no on-farm visits to take videos by the same person for your whole club. Only auction mart personnel can be used to judge the livestock. Our auction markets are deemed an essential service right now, and those hard-working employees and order buyers are at the markets. And if you work with your local market to facilitate this, they may be available to judge the livestock that go there. However, respect their limitations and the AHS requirements as they're changing rapidly, so their restrictions may be changing as well. The next point on the screen is something that we have talked a lot about. We've heard from a lot of clubs, and it's been a tough decision on knowing exactly what is the right way to do this. But if a final live weight is required, so if your members really want to know what that rate of gain is, or that final weight, and usually use a consistent scale for your show and sale, right now the only scale that could be used is at a local auction mart. And you would have to make arrangements with them and see what that looks like for them as well. So what we do recommend is an estimated weight, a tape weight, or a carcass weight. And your club can discuss what's best for you. I know the Sheep Advisory Committee has, for 2020, advised clubs that there will be no rate of gain competition for sheep this year. And part of that reason is the way they had to weigh in is members weren't able to meet at one central location to weigh their lambs in. So because of that inconsistency, there is no rate of gain classes for the sheep this year. So the other clubs with market animals, you may want to consider what's best for your club and what the desire is of the members. Liability for transportation of livestock is and always has been the responsibility of the individual family or the buyer of the livestock. So when you're transporting the animal to the auction market or to the abattoir, that is on your own. That's not part of a 4-H sanctioned activity or event now. And then for member safety, we encourage them to continue to work and care for their animals and learn through virtual connection. There's a lot of resources. We've already seen a lot of clubs, their senior members posting 1-2 minute videos to help their brand new members in the club. And then the last, whoop, sorry, I think that went a little too fast. Just struggling with my slides. Oh, there we go. And the last point on the member safety one is ensure that members aren't working alone virtually with youth. So same members rules apply when you're working person to person. Leaders, make sure that when you're communicating with members, that there's a parent there or a fellow leader or a group of members. So if you want more information about that, you can seek out the leader policy. So the next one, 4-H livestock policies. So as you know, there is a beef policy as well as a sheep policy. And a few changes for 2020 in regards to those policies. We want, and a few things that will remain the same. So 4-H members may not sell more than one project. That means that beef only sell one animal by auction, and sheep is one market lamb and or one pen of 3. So refer to the policy for more information about that if you are curious about how many projects the members can sell. The clubs can determine how to market the livestock. You may have already seen on social media clubs choosing to market their projects in a non-traditional way. And as long as the whole club agrees on that method, we'll go through some options that you can provide your club, but we encourage that it is a club decision on how they're going to market the projects. All the sales must be legal and uphold the brand responsibly. So that's not an animal brand, that's the 4-H brand that comes with values and responsibility as well. So we also encourage our sales, whether they're online, private treaty, need to have terms and conditions associated with them. Members need to review the policy on and meet the minimum days on feed. So that remains the same. We would encourage our members to know what that is and achieve for that minimum days on feed. New this year is that 4-H members in Alberta in 2020 are not required to show their project animal in order to sell the animal. So that is a policy that traditionally is in place, but because we do not have any means of connecting person to person, they do not need to show their market project in order to sell it. All members right now are required to complete their member requirements. So that's a community service, communication activity, designated club, 70% attendance, achievement activity, and record book. Keep in mind, those things may look different. So we want to make sure that we're setting members up for success. If your clubs have not completed those already, take time with your leadership team and your 4-H members to review what that will look like and try to achieve all of those member requirements. We don't want to discredit any members that may not have the opportunity to join online or join virtually, so please keep that in mind as well. When it comes to the competition part of things, learning is definitely the most important, but clubs have the ability to select what categories they wish their members to participate in, whether that is rate of gain, conformation, grooming, showmanship. So as long as everybody is happy with how that looks, your club can determine what categories they wish to have their members participate in.
Suzanne, can we just pause here for a quick sec? We've had a whole bunch of people join us on Facebook Live. Unfortunately, it didn't
Awesome.
work the first time or the first few minutes.
Okay.
So just a reminder for those who are listening on Facebook Live, thank you for joining us. We do have a max capacity on Zoom, but we are streaming on Facebook Live for those who can't join us on Zoom. And we'll be taking questions at the end, and we will be posting this on our 4-H Alberta YouTube channel on Friday. So hopefully that answers some of the questions we're seeing and what people are wondering. So continue, Suzanne. Sorry for interrupting.
Awesome. No problem. And there'll be an opportunity for questions at the end for those new people joining us, and we will address those as well. So achievement, what does achievement mean in the eyes of a 4-H member? Members could achieve by multiple different ways, and they potentially already have achieved many things in their 4-H year. So that could be halter breaking. That's an achievement all in itself. Members can share their knowledge through pictures or drawings or videos through club Facebook pages, text or email, or different means. During club tours that generally happen in the beginning of the year, members achieve by showing off that animal that they have selected for their 4-H project and talking about why they did that. So that's an achievement as well. Some clubs were fortunate enough to have a mini or mock achievement event, and they may have achieved by trying something new at that event already. Members can video themselves or have a family member video themselves grooming or leading their animals to show their successes or their improvements over the next couple months. And they could do a before or after video or photo of themselves clipping or grooming their animal. Also, keep in mind that members are achieving by getting their market animal to market during COVID-19. This is something we haven't ever seen before, and it is new for everyone. It's new for 4-H, it's new for Albertans, and it's new for everyone across the world as well. So sharing their experience, scrapbooking it, taking photos, doing a video diary is also a way that members can achieve, and also look back on that in a few years or show their kids about what happened when COVID-19 basically shut down the world. The little wheel at the bottom, remember, achievement comes with doing, applying, doing, and reflecting. And that model is something that 4-H follows. It also reflects the motto, learn to do by doing. So make sure that your members are able to progress and learn and experience and learn from their experiences. So last week we gathered together the Beef Advisory Committee as well as the Sheep Advisory Committee to brainstorm some ideas. What are the possibilities out there? So after consulting with those committees, we've come up with some options for shows as well as options for market livestock. So with the shows, you can proceed however will meet your club's needs. So one big thing there is ask the members. They're so creative. They're very invested into their projects. They're very invested into 4-H, and they're going to come up with some really neat and exciting ideas for what a potential show could look like. So make sure you ask them, keeping in mind that person-to-person events are suspended at the time being, and the transportation is not part of a sanctioned activity or event. So other ways you can show is video or photograph your project and share that, whether it's on social media or text or email, like I mentioned before. Your club can decide if they want to have a competition or have a non-competitive video production, because that's also an opportunity for members to learn how to shoot quality video footage as well as put it together in something that they can use to market their animals. You could also take this as an opportunity to showcase your breeding projects at a later date. So you might not be able to show your market animal, but your breeding projects could happen over the summer or early fall with your club if that meets their needs as well. While we're talking about breeding projects, I just want you to keep in mind that members are encouraged to keep up with their record books with their breeding projects. So in order for them to show them next year or have them as a project and progress into the next club year, they do need to keep their record on them. So even if you're not able to have that breeding project showcase at a later date, members should still complete that record book. They can be judged off the halter. So like I mentioned, you could take them to the auction market. They could be judged in that facility or via video. We also encourage clubs to pre-plan. So don't leave it too late. We realize that traditional shows may not happen in 2020, and that's okay. That's okay if they don't happen, or if your clubs don't have the means to make them happen in 2020, because it's unexpected. But we do encourage clubs to have a no-go date. So when is the last possible date we're going to make a decision on if we're going to have a summer or fall show? So don't let that drag out, because as we know, many members join 4-H in October, expecting them to be wrapped up at the end of May or the end of June, and they become ball players or something like that. And be mindful of when your club normally wraps up, and try to keep as normal as possible when you're planning those dates. I put Cleaver on the bottom because I didn't want to forget about the Cleaver kids. You also want to make sure that you're considering, how can Cleaver kids show off what they had an opportunity to learn and do this year? So make sure that they're included in your club plan and you're reaching out to them. Maybe it is a mentor session between an older member and a Cleaver kid, and they can share videos back and forth, because it is the time of year that Cleavers are picking their projects as well. So maybe that could be a video diary shared with the club or an older member as well. So we want to make sure those Cleaver kids are also achieving. Regional specialists and a lot of staff have received a lot of calls to explore the options of what are the options for a market sale this year because of the suspension. We want you to know that we want these sales to continue. We want the members to be able to finish their project that they started in the beginning of the year. And we've come up with back and shack 7 options that may be available to clubs. And I can't reiterate enough that you need to do what best suits the needs of the members within the club. And every club will look different across the province, in your county, in your region. Every club will host their shows and sales a little bit different this year. So option number 1, and in no particular order, just how they landed on the paper, is that members can sell their projects via traditional auction markets as a club, on interclub, or privately. You need to open the lines of communication with the auction markets. Each one will be different. Each market will be different. Their capacity will be different. Their staff base will be different as well. We want to make sure that you're communicating with the markets to see what options are available. And when you're communicating with the markets, it's always a good idea to have one point of contact. I know that they're getting overwhelmed by regular customers calling them, parents, leaders, and community members as well, to find out what the decisions of 4-H clubs are doing. So try to have one point of contact for your club or your interclub committee to the markets. So what this would look like is the livestock could be dropped off, no person-to-person contact. The market staff could weigh the calves, beef only. Keep in mind that the sheep have no rate of gain classes this year. And you don't have to weigh them. If your clubs feel that that's important, this is one way that it could be completed, and a rate of rate of gain class could be completed as well. If your members wish that the steers, the lambs, the sheep, or the goats be judged for conformation, and that could be done by regular employees or buyers that are already attending the market. 4-H is not able to hire or have someone come in and volunteer to judge those shows at the market or those animals at the market. So it's only the people that are regularly attending the markets that are able to do that judging. If that's possible at the market, video reasons could be shared with the club. You can designate how they're divided up in classes or whatever that looks like. It's just open dialogue with your market to see what is possible. One bonus, the animal owner could be kept confidential during the judging. As they're dropped off, the market would know who they are, but the judge may not know whose animals they are. Then the animals could be sold via an online auction through the Auction Mart services that they already have set up. The clubs can choose whatever meets their needs the best when it comes to selling online or marketing the animals. Members could make promotional videos to market their projects prior to the sale, to encourage people to join online, teaching people how to join online, because for some buyers, purchasing market animals online is a new experience. So we want to make sure that we are helping them learn as well. Option number 2 is for members to sell their projects through an online sale. So the online sales must be with a reputable company that meets the club's needs. The club determines the details of the online auction, and they identify the terms and conditions of the sale when the time comes. It could also serve to increase the profile of 4-H in general, the opportunities and different member experiences that 4-H members have. And then members within their promotional video or the online portion, they can highlight their personal achievements over the year, something neat about themselves, and add their own personality to the video as well. Option number 3 is members to sell their projects by a private sale. So you want to make sure that the 4-H standards and the brand and the values are responsibly represented. So no shady business during those private sales, but they can sell them via boxed meat. They can sell them per head via private treaty, or they can sell them individually at the auction market. Option number 4 provides a new learning experience for 4-H members that may not have had this before, is complete a carcass project option. So they, instead of a show steer, they would have a carcass project. They would have to make arrangements with the abattoir beforehand to see what the options are. And then they would drop all the animals off at the abattoir at the same time, and depending on the possibilities with the abattoir, everyone is going to be a little bit different. There is a possibility that the steers may go to slaughter a little bit earlier, and that they could be judged on the rail as well. The buyer can choose to have the carcass processed at that place to their preference, or they could have the carcass moved to another abattoir to be processed as well. Option number 5 is members sell their products as boxed lamb, swine, beef, goat. So they can sell them online by a private treaty, and they can provide potentially more options for the buyer. So they could provide them in a quarter, a half, or a full, which may be something different that you might pull in new buyers or new customers, because they're not looking for a full animal, but they would be willing to partner with somebody to purchase that animal. Option number 6 is donate box meat or financially to a charitable organization. We do know that there is clubs that have charity animals. that usually go to well-deserved charities in the community. And right now, as probably everybody knows, food security and the supply chain is a large concern of many citizens. So this is an opportunity for members to share that consistent communication of how members raise this animal, how is it going to go feed the world, and how this meat is of great quality. So if you do have a charity animal and you haven't had a designated charity to it, you can contact us. We got some ideas that can help market that animal, as well as members' animals that they choose to donate a portion of their profit to local food banks or charities, or choose to donate some of the meat. And buyers provide them the option that they could choose to purchase and donate to the local food bank as well. So there is some more information about this coming out, and we encourage you to explore this option as well, to showcase 4-H and all the great work they do by supporting charitable organizations. And last but not least is option number 7, which I know I've heard from some clubs that are toying around this idea of postponing the sale date. So if this is an option that your club or committee feels is best, make sure you're weighing all the options. So how many days have the livestock been on feed? What's the impact on abattoirs? What's the finish level of the animals? What's the financial impact of holding animals longer for the member? So the member would incur more costs, and we want to be conscious of that. And what neighboring 4-H clubs have regularly scheduled events if you decide to postpone the date? And what is the impact on local buyers that are already geared up to support your club around the same time? So we're on the home stretch of the presentation, and then we're going to open the door for questions. But here are 2 groups that we encourage you to work with or explore. Is Livestock Markets Association of Canada. That website has a listing of all auction marks and companies that market livestock, as well as livestock identification services. We will have some updated information from LIS, which we'll share in the coming days, so watch out for that. But we encourage you to reference those websites as well. So this was a fun slide. One thing to keep in mind, because we've mentioned that show and sales in 2020 will look different. At the end of the day, this is what we're trying to achieve, is positive youth development. So for those of you who are not familiar with this honeycomb shape, this is what the CEO of 4-H Canada calls the secret sauce of 4-H. This is what leaders are looking to achieve. This is what members are benefiting from being a part of the program. So we want to make sure that our youth have that safe, inclusive, fun environment with caring adults. They have an opportunity to learn to do by doing. They still feel that they have a sense of purpose and continue to have positive values. They have some responsibility, so make sure you're including them in the planning stages. They want to be a part of it. They're mastering some skills, and whether that is creating a new video or trying to get their market animal to sell, they're mastering new skills. It's an opportunity for leadership development for adults as well as members. It's an opportunity to be creative and look at the new possibilities and lead the way. Definitely an opportunity for planning and decision making, and all that together is positive youth development. So no matter what the show, no matter what the sale looks like, we want to make sure that our 4-H members do have an opportunity to have an environment that is positive and rewarding for them. One last slide before we get to everyone's questions online. We have pulled together some questions that the specialists have received over the last few days. I'm just going to run through them quickly to see if they will cover off on any burning questions that are out there. So the first one is, what online company does 4-H recommend? Well, right now, 4-H isn't going to endorse one company over another. We want clubs to explore what's best for them. You might know somebody that offers an awesome service and they're local to your community, and that's okay to use as well. There's some well-known livestock marketing companies that you can use as well, and it's a decision that the club needs to look at as well. So and the next question, do private sales require to be brand inspected? Like I mentioned, we will have some information out from Livestock Identification Services in the next couple days, and we will be sharing that with you. So take note of what that information is when it is available. The next question is, can a club end their year now and allow members to do their own thing? So this is possible. However, you want to make sure that you've explored all options before. We want to encourage clubs to feel, or members to feel, that they have that support by their club to market their animal. And if there is case-by-case basis, if there's a reason why a member needs to market their animal sooner than planned, whether it's due to the economy or unable to feed the animal, have those members work directly with the leadership team, the general leader. We want every member to succeed, but we don't want to provide hardships as well. The next one, can interclub show and sales split for this year? Try to keep things as normal as possible. Committees need to make the best decision for their clubs, but also keep in mind your local supporters, your local buyers, and consider what they will also have to make some tough decisions if now, instead of supporting one show and sale, they need to go to 3 within their community. So that might increase volume for them, or tough decisions for them as well. So try to keep things as normal as possible. The next question is, what if a member doesn't like the direction of the club they choose? Can they choose not to participate? We realize that going to Plan B will not meet everyone's needs, and you can't satisfy everyone, but you need to handle those case by case. So find out what the root cause is and see if you can work with that. Try to meet the needs of the members, and keep in mind this is not an ordinary year. So what we do this year doesn't mean that we're going to be doing this next year. And the last question on this page are, some members make arrangements with their buyer to continue showing their animal. Can this still happen? Absolutely, that can still happen, but the members need to discuss the plans with the leaders depending on the club's direction and work out the best possible solution. So it is still a possibility, but communication is key. So that's kind of all I have. We're going to open it up to questions, and I know Lexi has probably been frantically writing down questions, so I'll allow her to mention the question, and between Shelly Ann and Lexi and I will do our best to answer it. Keep in mind there is some things that we don't know, and if we don't know, we will do our best to get back to you and provide that answer as soon as possible.
For sure. Thank you. And if I ask a question that you touched on, Suzanne, my apologies. I was furiously typing through most of your presentation.
Yeah, I bet.
All right, folks. So again, thank you for joining us, and we will be posting on YouTube tomorrow for those of you asking. So our first question from our Zoom call, Suzanne, in our question and answer is, if our district has a show and sale on June 1st or 2nd, would you advise that we cancel the show at this time?
That is a great question with unknown answer. I know that's not what you want to hear, but the requirements and restrictions by Alberta Health Services change rapidly. They change daily. What we would encourage the show and sale committee to do is explore, what does plan B look like? I know we're hopeful that by the end of May, we will have an opportunity to lift the suspension, if not sooner. But we do encourage clubs that are into June to talk about and open the conversation. If the suspension goes longer, what will our show and sale look like? What does success look like for us? So we encourage you to continue your planning, but also look at plan B in the same sense. Also keep in mind, we don't know what is ahead. So even if restrictions are lifted by Alberta Health Services, there potentially is still requirements in place. There are still facilities that may be under restriction that you traditionally use. So I know it's not the greatest answer, but continue planning, but also explore what the second option will be.
Thanks, Suzanne. Okay. Next question would be, can we use a certified scale at home if they have one, in lieu of going to an auction mart or tape measuring?
That's a great question too. If we are, you can use it for the member that scale is at their home. At this time, the entire club cannot use a staggered approach to bring the animals to that scale. It is a liability concern if families are on other families' property or local feedlots to weigh those animals, because there will be action, I guess you could say. And from a liability standpoint, most of our accidents or incidents happen during that weigh-in type period. So at this time, we cannot use the staggered approach at someone's farm or community scale. If there is a unique community scale that there's nobody there, you can call and we can talk about those options. But right now, it's an auction market scale through that option.
Thank you. All right, so the next question is if a club decides to do an online, I'm assuming that's show at an auction mart, do they have to wait until after May 31st? I think this is actually if they want to do an actual show and not just sell.
If they want to do an actual show with their club, and that's something that their club is wanting or their members want, right now you would have to wait until after the 31st. I'm hoping I'm understanding this question correctly. So if the suspension lifts after May 31st, you can continue with the show that you've already had planned. You don't have to use the market. But if the suspension is still in place, there is no person-to-person interaction for a show.
Okay, thank you. And if the person who asked that question, if we didn't answer it correctly, please clarify and we will do our best to answer the question for you. Here's a question, and I'm pretty sure we can answer this one. Can the feed days be more than what 4-H allows? It's the number of days on feed.
I think so.
Yep, I think so too. I don't have an issue with that.
I don't have an issue with that. You just have to monitor it. It potentially goes into maintenance mode, and that's just communication with your club, because it may be a little bit of a different feeding program depending on the animal. But yes, it can be.
For sure. Okay, so can heifers not shown this year be eligible for the cow-calf and show in 2021?
Yes, they do need to keep their records on it though. So they do need to complete the record book. Even if they're not shown this year, they can come back as a cow-calf next year, as long as the member continues to have the record book and records on it.
Yeah, for sure. And complete an achievement activity. Sorry, did you mention that?
Oh, no, I didn't. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. I was distracted in reading our next question.
They achieved, yes.
So if a district show ends up going ahead, as in it would be after a club was scheduled to have their achievement day, if a club has not held their own achievement day yet, how can the clubs participate in that, or what would be an option for them?
That's a really good question. I think you need to discuss what that looks like with the committee, because some clubs may have had an opportunity to have achievement day and some may not have. So you want to make sure that the district or the interclub committee is keeping things consistent for all clubs. Lexi, do you have anything to add to that one? I haven't heard that one before, so I think.
Yeah, I think it would be fine to proceed if we are able to proceed at that time. I think the opportunity or the focus this year is to really focus on letting members have a positive experience where they can celebrate what they have learned this year. As Suzanne said, it's not a normal year and we aren't proceeding as if it is. So I think this year is an opportunity to try something a little bit different.
And the other thing is many clubs have their achievement day as part of a district show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So.
All right. So we mentioned using Auction Mart staff to judge. Would the expectation be that the members drop off their animals at staggered times on the same day? And can the member be in the ring with the animal while it is being judged? You might have covered some of that.
So the first part of the question, you're going to have to work with your local markets and find out what their capacity are. So we're saying that that's an option, but we haven't contacted every market to say, hey, you're going to judge all these steers. So make sure you have open dialogue with the market to see what the possibilities are. Maybe they can put them in individual pens, whatever that is. So create that list of questions or suggestions from your club when you're communicating with your local market to see what the options are. And the second one, sadly, the answer is no, because right now it is only employees or buyers that are in the market facilities. So the members would have to drop their animal off in an untraditional way, drop their animal off if the club chooses to have them judged. Judging is not necessary. I just want to say that if you don't have the capacity or the ideas, or the members are okay with not having a confirmation class or those type of things, it's okay not to have the judging this year, and focus on marketing that animal.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Suzanne. We're getting quite a few questions around scales and measuring animals. Just wondering if leaders can be present at the auction mart, and consistency around using any sort of tape measure or girth management. Should it not be the same person doing that? That measuring. And then the third part of that is, what about a scale at an abattoir? Would that work as well? So quite a few scale questions are coming in.
Okay, we might take that one and break that one down to share with a few more details and a little bit more meat to the answer. Is it isn't a normal year, so to have an answer for all of those, we don't have right now, but let us take that question. We'll filter it back to Back and Shack, and we'll see if they can provide some suggestions on that. The biggest thing is no person-to-person contact. So to have that, we understand that using the tape is going to be different from whoever is using it, the user. We understand that that's different. We understand the challenges of not being close to a market. And we understand the estimated weight, how that is difficult. But let us flesh that idea or that question out with Back and Shack to see if we can come up with a better solution right now. But keep in mind that there's no person-to-person contact, so it can't be the same person on the tape on each animal. The scale at the abattoir is definitely a possibility, because if you choose the carcass option, they're all going there, they're all going across the same scale. Or even if they're going to 2 or 3 different abattoirs in the same day, those scales could be used as well. That's communication with those abattoirs.
For sure. Thank you, Suzanne. There was a question and it was answered, but I want to make sure it was actually covered in the Zoom as well. And that was from our Facebook questions. It was, what about uninspected meat or meat that's for sale? It has to be inspected, is correct, which we know is correct, but just maybe elaborate on that a little bit, Suzanne, if we can.
I don't want to misquote the answer to that question. So
okay. Meat has to be inspected to be for sale. That's the biggest thing. And we'll work with meat inspection and LIS to come up with some information on some of those things that are outside of our mandate, if you will.
Mandate, right. Yeah. You need to use certified places.
Yes, for sure.
Lexi, we also had some questions regarding livestock insurance. Does anyone know when that ends, and is it the date the animal is sold? We need to make sure that the leaders understand their livestock insurance agreements.
That is correct. You want to make sure that you understand. Many clubs purchase their own livestock insurance, so you want to review those policies as you are continuing to plan, because they will all be a little bit different. Is that where you're going, Shelly-Ann?
Yep.
Yeah, just be a matter of checking with your policy. Yeah.
Good question for a good reminder, for sure.
Lexi, there was also the question regarding carcass classes. Is there a required number of days on feed for those?
I think, Shelly-Ann, I don't know that our policy outlines that in the beef policy, but I would definitely recommend reading the beef policy and then defer to the 160 days on feed. That's a minimum for all beef projects, or that's listed in the beef policy. But that's something we can cover in a follow-up, right, Suzanne? We'll just double check our policy and answer that question.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. Are you getting to the end of your list? I know there's probably lots of questions. Do you have any more, Lexi?
I actually don't have any more at this time. Oh, there's just one more. Just let me read it. There's going to be an awkward pause while I read it.
That's okay.
It was something that was missed earlier. So if you're going to go with no show and have a private sale, you still need an achievement activity, and that is correct. Yes, it is. And an idea would be that if a member video leading their animal, that would suffice. Yes, it would. I think so. That will be answered in the first few minutes that we did miss on our Facebook Live, and we do apologize for that, but it will be on YouTube tomorrow.
Awesome. So we will put these questions together, and we will keep the information updated on the 4-H website, as well as when it's there, we'll get Cameron to do a quick post on social media so people can reference it. The last slide in my deck was just as a reference, 4-H Alberta website. That's where we're going to be doing most of our updates, because we realize some people are not on social media. We will try to hit them both. So At Home with 4-H will be updated regularly, as well as the COVID-19 updates, and the frequently asked questions are always ever evolving, and there's a section on the website for that. As well on this slide is Lexi's email, Shelly Ann's and phone number, Shelly Ann's and myself. So Lexi is the staff lead with the Beef Advisory Committee, and Shelly Ann is the staff lead with the Sheep Advisory Committee. So if there's any out of the box questions like we gathered here, we'll make sure that we're consulting with those groups to help us formulate those answers. Because like I mentioned many times, this is new for everybody. This is not something that's happened, I'm sure, in 4-H Alberta's 100 years of history. And we're all learning, and the information is rapidly changing daily. So as 4-Hers do, we learn to do by doing, and we get through things and we get the job done. And I'm confident that all 4-H members or 4-H leaders will support their members and engage them. And don't forget to reach out to your members, because your members will have the great ideas, and you want to focus on what they feel is best for their club. As 4-H in Alberta, we're committed to the members achieving and member safety. So keeping those things as a top priority. And as a last note, remember to be creative, compassionate, mindful of your local businesses that are also experiencing hardships through the economy and shutdown due to COVID. Be innovative as we will get through this. And like I said, it's an opportunity to learn to do by doing. And don't hesitate to reach out with your questions. Specialists will be reaching out, if you missed this part, to all the contacts that are on the show and sale listing within the next week to see how your planning is going and help navigate what that looks like. So thank you everybody for your time. We do apologize for those who weren't able to jump on the Zoom and had to watch it on Facebook Live, but like Lexi said, we have recorded it. We will post it on our YouTube channel and to make sure people know when it's available, as well as the frequently asked questions and the questions we gathered on Zoom and Facebook. So thank you very much, everyone. Shelly Ann and Lexi, do you have anything to add?
No, I'm good. Thank you for joining us. And sorry for the issue with the tech at the Facebook Live at the start, but thanks for joining us. It will be on our Facebook page for you to go back and watch, and it'll be on YouTube tomorrow. So thanks for your patience. We're learning with you. All right, thanks guys.
All right. You're the host, Lexi, so do you end that?
Yep, just give me a quick second here.